Hello, I'm the Beauty Professor, and you can find my beauty blog at www.beautyprofessor.net. Today, I'm excited to do a quick video review and tutorial featuring my latest foundation acquisition, and that is the Suqqu, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Frame Fix Foundation. It's a cream foundation, and I have the newest version, which was released about 6 months ago. Because this is a foundation tutorial and I will be going through the process by which I like to apply this foundation, I am wearing a minimum of products at the exposition of this video. That being stated, I'd like to cover the products I am currently wearing. So I have a little less than a pea-sized amount of the Omorovicza BB SPF 20 Complexion Perfector in the shade medium. There are two shades, a light version which is too light for my NC 23 to 27 skin, and the medium which right now works, but I suspect if I get a lot lighter as winter approaches that this shade will need to be mixed with something else in order to make it a viable match for me. In the meanwhile, yes, I will be doing a full review of this product, but I just wanted to preface that I'm using it as a primer today, and that is the first base on my skin. I'll get close so you can see what's going on here. Just a very light tint, and as I've said, I'm using it as a primer, so it's not meant to take the place of a foundation. In addition, on my eyes, I'm just wearing a very light line of the LMdB Stylo in Noir, which is a black. It's got a great felt tip applicator. I know I have or will be having a video expressly devoted to this, but I love the application process. It's really easy. I actually use it to get right inside of my lashes as well to darken it up, and it really just gives maximum impact with a very minimal time spent applying it. And I'm wearing a bit of the Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill Excess Mascara, which I've mentioned in previous videos. I just have one coat on today to kind of fill in my upper lashes and a tiny bit at the bottom, otherwise nothing else. And then finally on my lips, I'm wearing a brand new color acquisition by Bess, and it is called Blushed Orchid. It is a gorgeous creamy pink. It's got a light opacity about it, but it's not so nude that it washes out the face. I would call this a light to light medium baby pink rather than a purely pale light pink. I've loved the Bess line for many years and was happy to try this lipstick directly from Neiman Marcus, so I'll get close. I will also have a review of this on my blog in the very near future. So here is what's going on my lips. That's Blushed Orchid for you. To the Suqqu. So since I mentioned on my blog a few days ago that I had placed an order for this foundation and then subsequently received it, I've had so many readers interested in this particular video review with swatches because it's such a difficult foundation to come and see in person. Suqqu is a Japanese brand, and while I'm not well versed on all of its offerings, I have done copious amounts of reading on the line online, and beauty lovers just seem to adore the eyeshadow palettes, the lip products, the eyebrow products, and chiefly this cream foundation, which from what I can surmise has won all sorts of awards overseas. So in America, you only have a few choices about how to procure this particular foundation, and it's not an inexpensive formula. I'll state that up front. There are a couple of websites online that you can place the order with, which is what I did, and I'll go into those details in a moment. In terms of price, this, as I've mentioned, is not an inexpensive formula. I have gotten to a place in my beauty life where spending over $100 for a foundation doesn't freak me out the way it used to. I don't know if that's a good thing or maybe a hideously bad thing. It is what it is. At any rate, for about an ounce of product, this runs around $130. And I'm speaking in terms of the American dollar and what it would cost for you to order it and have it shipped to your address in America. I ordered mine from bobodaves.com, which is a rather silly name. It's actually kind of fun to say. I've ordered from this particular online retailer many times over the years. And specifically, it specializes in Asian skincare and beauty products. They're based in Hong Kong, and so the shipment to America takes a while because you're dealing with U.S. Customs, of course, but I received mine probably within 10 days of ordering it online. And I was able to pay through PayPal, which gives you kind of a peace of mind when you're doing any kind of fiscal transfer. The foundation itself comes in, gosh, less than 10 shades. And so I deliberated for a bit about which shade or shades would be right for me. Now, to be clear, on the Bobo Dave website, the original Frame Fix cream formula is actually slightly less expensive than the N version, and the N in this case denotes the fact that it's the newer version. In my case, because I had narrowed down my shades to shades 002 and 003, I went with the new version because they did not have 003 in the original formula, only in the new version. So I figured if I'm going to place an order, I might as well get both shades that I need in one fell swoop, which prompted me to spend a little bit extra to order the N version. So unfortunately, I cannot in any way compare it to the original version, and because I have not yet tried the original version and probably won't now that I have 2 shades of the new version. I will go ahead and insert a picture of how the shades are kind of distributed from a light to dark and a rosy to yellow spectrum. So I'll put that in right now. And now you can see that the 002 and 003 are in the light to light medium yellow toned range. And that's definitely resonate with my current skin tone. So I knew that if I had both shades, when the 3 becomes a little too dark for winter, I can mix some 002 in with it to achieve the perfect match. On to the foundation itself. It comes in a frosted glass jar. And this, for reference, is the 002, the lighter of the 2 shades. Unfortunately, all of the back matter of the foundation, things like the ingredients and directions for use, it's all in Japanese. However, I can say that before making this video, I have made sure to try this foundation multiple times, wearing it for up to 10 to 12 hours, and I have not had a single adverse reaction with my sensitive skin. I'll show you what this foundation looks like in the flesh right now as well. So it's got a nice stopper on the top, and then here is the foundation. What's exceptional about this formula, there are many things, but the one that stood out to me most is the fact that it's incredibly concentrated. It feels in some ways like the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. Here's number 2 here. You can see it's a light yellow beige, but maybe more of a neutral to yellow beige. It's not excessively yellow. I'd say it's appropriate for NC20 skin tones, maybe even N20 skin tones. And the foundation itself, as I've mentioned, is excessively concentrated. It's pigmented. It does bring to mind the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer, but there are some chief differences right off the bat. There is no scent. And I will say that while the Sensual Skin Enhancer has so many great attributes, the scent for me is not one of them. I almost dislike the scent, but I can get through it, especially when I mix it with something else. And 2, it texturally just feels slightly different. It's creamier as opposed to really oil-based feeling like the Sensual Skin Enhancer is. So here is number 2. Swatched heavily on my wrist here, and I think that's actually a very accurate color depiction from what I'm seeing and what I'm seeing on camera. It's an NC20 shade, and so I cannot wear it alone right now. There might be a point in the winter where I can, just not right now, but it is definitely going to be something I'll utilize in the mixing arena. Here is the 003 shade in the jar, and once again, I think it's a pretty color accurate depiction going on in the camera right now. I've already pre-swatched it in conjunction to the 002. Here's 003. You can see it's just a bit deeper, perhaps even a little more golden toned, probably closest to a NC30, but maybe more like an NC27. I don't get full 30 depth with this, but it is what you would probably order if you were in that skin tone range, because I don't think there's really anything darker than this. I'm just going to take a little bit of the 2 and the 3 and then blend it in a dot right below. You can see it creates just an imperceptibly great match with my skin. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of this, it creates this, and that is the shade that I've been wearing currently. and I'm going to go ahead and apply it right now. Here's my mixture of 002 and 003 in my little travel container that is appropriate for my makeup bag, and that's what I'll be using in just a minute. I find I get a more natural medium coverage effect with using a damp beauty blender, which I've already prepared for these purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it applies. Here's my skin without it, just a little bit of primer, and I just take some on my sponge, dot it in all the necessary areas. Because it's concentrated, I'm going to be conservative with how much I initially apply. And now I'm going to go ahead and blend it into the skin. It just creates a very natural skin-like finish with excellent coverage. High definition coverage, I might add, that covers up unevenness, freckles, any blemishes you might have, while leaving a very pretty, dewy, skin-like finish that doesn't get excessively dewy as the time wears on. Okay, so there's my skin without. It hasn't been blended. Here it is with, just to show you comparison. No concealer necessary at this point. I don't have anything under my eyes or anywhere else for that matter. I'm just going to blend it down and then off to this side. Once again, I'd like to just point out how exceptional this is for its lack of scent or fragrance. All right, very even, natural, perfected canvas going on here, and a good match for my current NC 23 to 25 skin. Got a lot of questions from readers already regarding how it compares to a personal favorite, the Kanebo Sensai Cellular Performance Cream Foundation. Of course, they're both Japanese brands. They're both cream foundations that come in frosted glass jars. One can't help but delineate a comparison. That being stated, my experience is that the Suqqu tends to be slightly more pigmented in smaller quantities, and it's also a little drier for a cream formula. Not dry in a way that highlights dryness on the face, but the Kanebo Sensai is just extremely emollient, and I get an instantly dewy finish with it, which is beautiful. This tends to be just a little more matte because it just feels drier as a texture. Different in that respect, which makes me believe that I'll continue to use both rather than have one replace the other. Because the canvas is so even and skin-like in nature, it's just a perfected version of the skin. I'm going to go very light on any finishing touches. In this case, I will add a touch of the Guerlain Terracotta. It's the Four Seasons bronzer in number 2, which is Natural Blondes, just a little bit to highlight the cheekbone area. I'll warm up the apples of my cheeks with a favorite, the Marc Jacobs blush in Obsessed. It's a beautiful luminous powder blush that is a peachy pink in tone. A little bit on the apples of the cheeks. I'm just sitting in front of a window, natural light for today, and so when I look in the mirror, what I see of my face looks exactly like what I'm seeing in my camera here, which hopefully is of use to you as my viewer. So allow me to provide some final thoughts on this Suqqu Frame Fix Cream Foundation. I am beyond thankful and grateful to have been able to acquire this. It is a foundation for foundation lovers, in the fact that it just creates a beautifully even natural canvas with a minimum amount of product. From a lasting power perspective, I've had some really long lecturing days as of late, in some cases 10 or 12 hours, and this has definitely held up well. I get a little bit of breakthrough shine maybe by hour 4 or 5, at which point I might blot or just lightly powder, but I do not set this foundation with powder initially. So I think that speaks to its longevity. It doesn't need powder off the bat because it just does a beautiful job of evening out the skin without requiring extra product. It just looks like beautifully natural, perfected skin. And isn't that what we're all going for when it comes to wearing foundation on a regular basis? I know that's definitely what I'm in pursuit of. There are a few caveats regarding this foundation that I want to be fair about mentioning. The first would be that it's exceptionally difficult to order and procure unless you live in Asia where you could go see this in person, or in Great Britain at Selfridges where I know they have a Suqqu counter. Otherwise, you're kind of taking a major guess when it comes to whether or not this foundation will agree with your skin and whether or not you've ordered the correct shade. In all, the Suqqu Frame Fix Cream Foundation, the new version, which is what I've been reviewing, is an absolutely brilliant foundation. I am so pleased that it's living up to the hype that I have read about online, and I look forward to continuing to experiment with it over different primers, mixing the shades, and finding powders that work best with it when one needs to touch up later on in the day. If you're looking for an even skin-like finish, almost a velvet canvas, then I highly recommend giving this a try if you feel certain about your shade match. I am thrilled to add it to my foundation rotation and welcome your questions and your comments regarding this product. I truly hope you enjoyed this video review and tutorial, and I will definitely have, as mentioned, additional swatches, product images, and information in the detailed blog post that will accompany this video. As always, please visit me at my beauty blog, Beauty Professor, which can be found at www.beautyprofessor.net. Take care.